Great. Well, you guys, welcome to tonight's training, the Well Team training with Jessica Hefley. Y'all, I was praying right around Super Saturday, like, okay, God, who does our team need to hear from this year? And just give me some good wisdom. What do we need to hear? You know, doing a little bit of brainstorming and praying through vision for 2017. And I was like, I would like to be trained by Jessica Hefley. I would like to hear from Jessica Hefley. And so I reached out to her like beginning of February to try to hunt you down, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I think that's great. Let me do a brief intro, but I want to give full disclosure. So I feel like Jessica is a kindred spirit of mine who I have never, ever gotten to sit down and have like a one-on-one with. So
we can do something about that.
We have a Facebook friendship. Like probably a lot of you guys do with people who are sidelines and just people that you've met through Plexus. But in case you don't know who Jessica Hefley is, she is a Diamond Senior Gold, which is a big deal. That means she's gone all the way to the top rank of the company and then re-entered underneath herself to create a whole second leg in which she's gone Senior Gold on. She is often on our leaderboard recognition. Jessica, I think you once won the seniors, the Silver Star Award when you were up and coming in the company. Often recognized at convention. In fact, if you were at convention in Vegas in 2016, then you will recognize Jessica because she spoke for the Diamonds that were on stage. She's a Super Saturday trainer. What am I missing? There's more accolades there, right?
That's good.
I don't say this to embarrass Jessica either, because I know she doesn't want to get on into her own horn. But okay, so if you give us just a little bit of background on where you grew up, and then I'll jump in with some detailed questions.
Okay. Well, I'm actually from Illinois. I am a northerner girl, Midwesterner girl. And I went to college down here in Arkansas at Harding University. And so that's kind of how I got down to the South. And I met Tamra. She's my sponsor. I had just met her at a MOPS group. It's Mothers of Preschool Students. So we were at a church. It's just like two times a month. They come and they do new activities for moms. Like you get to make a craft and hear a speaker. And we ended up being at the same small group table. And she was the leader of the table, and then I knew from the instant I met her, she was a leader. And we really didn't know each other that well. We were Facebook friends, and then I moved away. I moved to Ohio for a season for my husband's job, and then I saw her posting.
Okay, sorry. I thought I muted you. You're good. You're back.
Oh, no. And then I saw her posting about Plexus, and I looked at her website immediately because I was curious. And the first thing I saw was weight loss.
Oh, wait just a second, Jess. Your audio cut out. Can you guys hear
her? Am I cutting out for anybody else?
Okay, good. No, you're good.
Oh.
I don't know what happened.
Tell me if I need to move. It's not saying anything on my end, but yeah,
okay.
I want it to be clear.
I'll mute me, and you go ahead.
Make motions or something. Okay. Okay. So I went to her Facebook page and saw weight loss. And so I was like, I thought it was that's all it was about. And that's not what I was needing at the time. And so I just ignored it. But 8 months down the road, when she posted about her Lexus, at that time, my family very much was financially strapped. My husband had a really good job, but he was traveling out of town 2 and 3 weeks out of the month. And so I felt like a single mom and just really, really drowning in a lot of past business debt and IRS debt and student loan debt. And I'm a huge Dave Ramsey fan. And so I'm the nerd. And I was just like, I'm dying here. I'm choking. And this opportunity came up, and Tamra, because I saw Tamra post with her Lexus. And I was like, no way. You know, what? Like my normal friend got a Lexus? No, what? And I couldn't understand that at all. And that led to me giving her a call and realizing, that even at that moment, she was making close to $10,000 a month, which was way more than my husband was making. And he had a really good job in the oil field, gas and oil field. And so Anyways, my husband was not on board because I'm an introvert, not a salesperson at all, but I was on Facebook all the time. And so I was like, this is different. This is on Facebook. And I was also like crunchy. Like my family already took probiotics. We were really big into natural medicine and natural alternatives. And so I really learned about the triplex and our ProBio 5. I was like, sold. So that's just a little bit of how I got started with Plexus.
Like back then, before you even really got started, what did you see for your future? What were you thinking was going to be 5 and 10 years down the road?
Yeah. I mean, initially, I think that, well, because I am such an introvert and I had always like sworn off network marketing, like I would never do that. And so I definitely was questioning whether this was going to work. You know, in the bottom of my heart, I really felt like this was our answer we had been praying for. We've been praying for a couple years for a way out of all this debt. And so it was like this, I was torn. Like I really felt like this was the answer that the Lord had provided for our family, that this could be huge. And then there's still part of me that was like, I'm nervous to post on Facebook. What are people going to think about me? Anyways, but this part, the big vision part, definitely outweighed this, because I did start posting, I did start sharing, and I remember, this might be part of my red personality, but I started in June, and I had saw like one post Tamara had posted about leaders retreat contest, because that starts in June. And I was like, oh, what is this? And I remember talking to Tamara, like, can you tell me more about this? Like, would I even be able to make that? I mean, I just joined. And she was like, yeah, I mean, you did just join. I don't know if you'd make it. And so I went home, like, that night in bed, like, I was laying in bed just, like, reeling, like, wait a second. She doesn't think I can do this. I need to prove her wrong. And so that kind of fed me a little bit, too. But then I honestly had a lot of friends think I was crazy. My dearest friends, I mean, I when I first started, I reached out to a good handful of people who I thought would be amazing and were good friends of mine. And none of them laughed at me to my face, but they definitely thought it was crazy. And so I really had to rely on God and the bigger vision that this could be. Like, this was going to change everything for us. And it was okay if they weren't on board yet, because I knew what our family needed, and our family needed out of debt. And I loved having a platform to educate people about natural alternatives. And so I enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it from the beginning.
Okay, I have to ask this. So you had some good friends who weren't jazzed. They didn't see it. So what was your response when that was the case? Like, how did you handle that? And did any of them ever come on board?
Yes. Okay. Good question. My closest friends did not join me until after I went Emerald. I think that's a really important piece for you guys to share, and for you guys to share with your new people, is that not everybody, because I think some people, they immediately shut down. You know, like if their best friend doesn't want to do this with them when they start, they're like, what? But you've got to have a bigger why. You've got to have a bigger reason. And so I just honestly, with my close friends, and those people all lived close to me, all the ones that said no, and they were all like, no, thank you, not for me. They were polite about it. But we just didn't talk about Plexus when we were together. And that honestly was kind of cool, because that helped me form Plexus connections within the Plexus community, Plexus friends and Plexus sidelines, people that were on the same page as me. And that helped me grow and bloom and develop kind of on my own, which I thought was pretty neat. But yeah, a lot of them did not join me until after I was Emerald. I went to a small Christian university, which a lot of my team went to. And so I don't ever think any community is ever, oh my goodness, I'm losing my words, saturated. Like Harding University still to this day is not saturated with Plexus. There is a lot of Plexus ambassadors, but nothing will ever be saturated. Everybody always knows somebody else. But so within that community, that we definitely had some haters. Like people who, let me tell you this. Like, here's an example. One of my biggest haters was Ryan Evans, who is now almost a Sapphire on my team. But, okay, this is where, like, the thick skin comes in, which I think is really, really important. is she made a public post. She goes to my church and she went to my college, and she was like, please make the Plexus post stop. Okay, so that hurt my feelings. That hurt my feelings a lot. I am human. That hurt my feelings. However, she had celiac disease, and I knew Plexus would help her. I also knew inside information to her family and how they literally had no money. Like, she's an awesome leader, and they were struggling financially. So I tell Rob, my husband, that I'm going to go to her work and ask her to try Plexus for free. And Rob, my husband, said, no, you're crazy. Don't waste your time. She hates Plexus, and she's going to make you cry. But I really felt like the Lord was telling me, no, you need to go reach out to Ryan. And so I did. I went to her off. I approached it like, this may work for some of you guys. I've only done this for 2 people ever, and it worked for both of them. And they were only because like it was so strong from the Lord that I needed to do that. Okay, so the Lord was telling me, go talk to Ryan. But I went with the approach of, I wanted to learn about celiac disease because she had celiac. I didn't want to come in there and pretend like I was the expert on her disease. I had to meet her where she was. And so I was like, okay, tell me everything about celiac. What's it like? What have you suffered through? Tell me everything. And she did. She told me her story. And then I just told her straight up, honestly, Ryan, I truly believe that Plexus will help you. Will you take the Fab 4 for a month for free and just let me know? And so she was like, sure, if you're going to pay for it, I'll take it. In her mind, she tells the story now. She's like, yeah, I was taking it because I was, after 30 days, going to show Jessica that it didn't work, and I was going to tell all of Facebook world that it didn't work. She wanted to prove me wrong. But it ended up being this amazing story of, she had to have infusions, monthly infusions from an oncologist because she could not absorb nutrition. She had an oncologist appointment 30 days after she started Plexus. Her blood work was the best it has ever been. He had to retest her. He tested her again because he didn't believe the results. He thought something was wrong. She no longer has to have monthly infusions. She actually can eat gluten now. I'm not going to ever tell celiac people to eat gluten, but she can eat gluten without ill effects. And her family at that time, she'll tell you the story. It's the most heartbreaking story ever. She had a baby. Her baby woke up in the middle of the night crying. They were literally out of formula and no money in the bank. No money in the bank to feed her crying baby. And so she realized, when this completely transformed her health, she realized that she needed the money and she had to do whatever she could to feed her family. And now she's almost a sapphire. But she was a hater. So people are hurting. People are hurting. She was only a hater because she was hurting financially, and her health was hurting, and she was just a depressed person. But don't give up on people like that sometimes.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Like I'm glad we're recording. I'm filing that away in my
Ryan Evans is her name.
Is like, okay, so Jessica, you have strong belief and I also heard that you were praying, like you felt like God said, hey, here, like literally here, go talk to this person, make this offer. And you had the belief to be able to approach not only a hater, but a celiac hater. Without fear, like, yeah. Tell me about the faith, fear, and the boldness and the vision, how that all is connected.
Okay, Becky, you can definitely understand this. I've had some people recently, like diamonds in the company, and come and say, okay, like, Jessica, what is going on with your team? Like, how is it so successful? How is there no drama? How is there no ship jumpers? What is happening? And I honestly, in my heart of hearts, contribute my success to the extensive counseling I went through before Plexus. I know that, Becky's a counselor. She understands that. Because what that did for me, some people think, oh, people only go to counseling, if they're on the brink of suicide or divorce or whatever. And we did have a lot of marriage trouble. We went through extensive counseling, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I am literally a different person than when I was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I was full of fear. I was such a people pleaser. I cared so much about what other people thought about me. I was codependent. I was it's just all of these things that I was 5 years ago that through going through good Christian counseling, and I'm not talking about, talking to your preacher one time. I went to a counselor who was a Christian. And I get that a lot, and I'm not dissing that, but it takes more than one time. It takes somebody who's really is a professional and can help you work through some of your insecurities and fears and why you feel the way you do. And everybody, we all feel and act the way we do because of what happened in our childhood or our past or how we grew up or our environment or our parents. And so I honestly have all my leaders go through counseling. And that's we've been financially blessed. We help a lot of them to do that. It's that important because I think so many people think, oh, counseling, I don't want to spend the money on that, or that's something for me. I don't feel like I deserve to get to do that. Okay, going through counseling does not affect just you. It actually affects and can hinder, if you don't, your marriage, your children, and the thousands of people you could potentially lead on your Plexus team. The healthier you are emotionally and mentally, the better leader, the healthier leader, the more you can rise up other leaders. That is what I believe.
I love that. Both the Hefleys have talked about this, y'all. So that's one of the things I love about this. So part of your self-care, and obviously a huge part of your faith has been the work that you've done personally in counseling.
Yeah.
It helps with your belief, and it helps cut back on drama, right?
Yeah. Oh, girl, I've got boundaries. I've got people. Drama doesn't even happen on our team because I don't allow it. Like, we have other people that come to me and be like, how do I handle this? That has been happening for years. I was like, you should have shut that down a year and a half ago. Don't let people treat you like that. Yeah. But that helped me in counseling do that. It helped me be able to realize I wasn't being mean.
Right.
I was being healthy, and when I don't allow drama or that, it's not an issue on our team. I'm so thankful. It's not.
Totally takes care of my second question. Okay, so this is what I really want to hear. I love your vulnerability. Can you tell us, I think a lot of people on this call would really benefit from this. Talk to us about a hard season you had with Plexus, and just let us know kind of how you respond to struggles in general, but specifically struggles and trials in this business, in direct sales and network marketing.
Yeah. Okay. So I would say a hard season was right when we switched back offices is when I had my baby girl. And so I had a newborn baby, and
both of us, we both had baby girls, right?
Oh, yeah. So thankfully my husband works this business too. And so he literally was on the phone with customer service every day. I don't want to rehash that season. It's over. But that was a really, really hard season. And it was a really hard season that lasted a long time. It lasted a good year. And so I would say what helped our team throughout that whole journey, I think I really focused on, and my leaders really focused on, keeping personal growth a priority. When things were out of control, when there are things that we could not control, there were days, all of us, were upset and mad and wanted to throw in the towel, and but yet we committed to having our tissy fit and then moving forward. And it really was a lesson on letting go of control. That's a big thing in all areas of our life. When we literally can't control something, you can worry yourself sick, stress yourself out to the max, and nothing's going to change. Or you can realize healthy ways to deal with the stress and deal with the uncontrol and become a better person through that. So I would say through hard times, this might be part of my color personality or whatever, but I just always realized that I was having a hard time. But to me, I was realizing, but my leaders are having an even harder time. Mm-hmm. And so I just really tried to breathe life into them and love on them, because it's so easy. This was something I was going to talk about before this, is that it's so easy for us to just think about ourselves, like we check in on our teammates and say, hey, did you do, here's an example of something. Okay. We had a VIP online event a couple weeks ago. And so I went through of all of my level ones, and instead of asking them, hey, who are you inviting to the VIP event? instead of saying that, what I said was, hey, who are you inviting and who from your team has got people coming to this event? I always rise people up to be leaders. I don't just ask them what they're doing, I'm asking them what their team is doing. And so I really tried to breathe on and love on my leaders and have that trickle down to them as well. But I'm just so big on rising up other leaders. Like, I feel like, can I talk about that for a second? Like,
Yeah,
I feel like
please
you need
do.
to talk about that. Okay. Here's a mistake that I see a lot of people do is they don't rise up other leaders. Or I see people, like maybe they recruit 200, 400 level ones, but that's not sustainable. And nobody else on their team is ever going to do that. And so it's a good mixture of both. You always have to personally recruit. Until you are double diamond, the highest rank you ever want to be, you always have to have personal recruiting as the number one. But I also have to rise up other leaders. And so I'm always talking to them about, what are you doing for your team? Or I'm trying to think of tangible examples. Okay, back to that VIP example. So when I messaged them, I was like, hey, who do you have coming to the VIP event? And who from your team has people coming? I want to know who they are so I can, because I was speaking at the VIP event, so I can know how to cater what I say. Okay, so what I did is I assumed that my people were doing that thing. I assumed that they had already invited people to the event and had already checked on their team to see who they had invited to their event. When in reality, I knew a lot of them had not. But instead of saying, hey, who did you invite to the event? And leaving it at that, I spoke to them speaking life and assuming that they had. So I spoke to them saying, hey, so who do you have coming to the VIP event? And who from your team has people coming to the VIP event? And so that makes them rise to the occasion. So if they had not messaged people before I reached out to them, they were going to go message before they messaged me back so that I wouldn't think that they didn't do it. So I'm always assuming the best out of people instead of telling them what to do. I'm really big into asking questions and assuming that they are rising up to the occasion. Does that make sense?
Yes, and then people do, right? I mean, I think when we expect the worst, that kind of, for me, it's that critical spirit will come out sometimes, and people will rise up to that in their flesh. And then when you expect the best and assume the most, you step into that. I love it.
And super big on conquering fear. You mentioned fears. A big thing in my leadership is I'm always trying to get people to do something scary. Always. Like, you think of some of the scariest things there is, like making a live video on their personal page. So sometimes instead of just doing incentives for whoever adds the most ambassadors, I will do like, hey, this weekend, everybody who does a live video will be entered to win a drawing. So I'm making them do something. I'm nudging them to do something scary.
Love it. Because
every time they do something scary, it gets a little bit scarier the next time. And honestly, if you don't nudge your team to do those things, they may never do them.
Okay, so I ask you, what was the last scary thing that you did? Trapeze.
Wait, within the business or outside of the business?
Either. Trapeze is pretty scary.
Y'all, I took some of my jewels. We went to California, went to Catalyst. It was a leadership conference and a worship conference, but we did trapeze lessons. Like, you can go to my Facebook page and watch the video. It was scary. Okay, I get this weird thrill out of people doing scary things. So I was excited, but a couple of them were really scared. And so after they did it, it was like this, I got this weird high of, you did something scary. I'm so proud of you. And it was like, they said it was one of the best experiences of their life. And I know that next time something scary comes up, they're going to do it because they already did this really scary thing.
So you're pretty big on leading by example with that as well. I know that's one of the things that you work really hard to kind of not, do what I say, not as I do, but do what I do. Come join me, do something scary. Let me ask this. Okay, this is what I'm so curious about. What does your DMO look like? And for those of y'all listening, DMO is daily method of operation. Like, Jessica, I want to know what you do every day, every week, and every month.
Okay. Okay. Well, I will tell you that my DMO is very different now than when it was, say, when I was working towards Emerald. Okay. So this, I feel like this is kind of a little bit of a weird question, just because I'm very, very, very wide and have lots of leaders, and I'm at a good place in my business. So it's a little bit different, but okay. So maybe I'll tell you like kind of my DMO when I was working really hard to get to Emerald and kind of what it is now. What it is now is I have a lot of time freedom, honestly. I worked my tail off to get to where I am, and now I enjoy my family and I turn off my phone sometimes, which is something I never did when I was working to get where I am. So know that freedom will come someday, but you definitely have to make huge sacrifices right now that are worth it. To get you to this point. But I would say now, my DMO, my daily method of operation, this one thing transformed so much for me. And I really encourage you guys on this call as leaders to do this. If once a day you will just tell your team something that you did that day to work your business, more is caught rather than taught. That is like huge. Like it seems so simple. It just seems so elementary, but it literally, I don't know how you guys communicate, whether you have a team page or you have a message thread with your level ones or your team or something. You don't have to tell them every single thing you did, but tell them something you did that day to work your business. What that does is it leads by example. It also gives them examples of things to do. You know, these ways that you work your business may be second nature to you. You may not even have to think about, but you just do them. But the reality of it is most of your team don't even think to do that. And so it's going to, you know, give them ideas of things they do need to do to work their business. You know, it can be as simple as take a selfie if you have a Plexus shirt on that day and say, hey, I wore my Plexus shirt out to the ball fields. And everyone else is going to be like, duh, why didn't I wear my Plexus shirt out to the ball fields? You know, it can be simple as that. Or, hey, today at Walmart, I overheard this girl talking about her horrible migraines. And so I told her about Plexus. You know, just telling your team, if they know that you're doing those things, if they know that you're doing those scary things, they're going to be more likely to do it. Because again, people don't like to be told what to do. They don't like to be like, you need to do this, you need to do that. But if they're seeing the things that you're doing, that's going to speak huge volumes rather than just like trying to teach them. And it makes you more credible. If you're actually doing the things you're teaching about instead of just saying them, that's huge. Okay, so for right now, right now, I'm super big. Well, the 90-day rule, y'all. The 90-day rule. Let me tell you a little story about the 90-day rule. Do you guys know what the 90-day rule is? It usually is, okay, so we have these people that decide to work their business all of a sudden, and then they work their business for 2 weeks, and then they don't have 10 people sign up, and they get super frustrated. But that's because they haven't been utilizing the 90-day rule. Okay, I recruited a ton, and then I kind of taken a break from personal recruiting, which I do not recommend, and it didn't work out well. So November, when we had that planner incentive, you know, where you just had to add 3 people, it could be customers or ambassadors. And I remember sitting at Leaders Retreat thinking, oh, that's breeze. I'm a diamond. I'll get that planner. Okay, y'all, it took me down to like the last hour, and I had to literally beg people, which I never do. That makes me super uncomfortable. I don't work in a business like that, but I was desperate. And it made me realize, okay, wow. The 90-day rule was in full effect because the previous 90 days, I had not been reaching out to new people. I had not been making new contacts. I had not been making an effort to friend people on Facebook or deepen those relationships. I just hadn't been doing that. And so when this came about, you know, I was like, well, I'm going to, for 2 weeks, work my business hard. This will be easy. It wasn't the case. And so I realized, and I've been in this business for a while, over 2.5 years at that time. I was like, I bet you a lot of my level ones are having the same problem. And so I had the insight in December, I did an IPA group thread, which is an income producing chat message with just my level ones. And I had a really good prize. And I was like, if you do, I had 15 activities in the month of December. So 1 for every 2 days. I mean, and Becky, I can add you to that if you want that. But Every task was focused on personal recruiting. It was back to following up, reaching out, finding new leads, talking to strangers, completely focused on that. And it was twofold, because I knew my team needed it, and I knew the 90-day rule, and I knew that convention contest was starting in January. So if we could get them back into this activity in December, we'd all have a leg up, them and myself included, for convention contest. So personal recruiting, the 90-day rule. I want to encourage you guys to do that. You have to be doing something daily. And it usually comes to fruition about 90 days. So if you commit today, all in, every single day, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. And this summer, you're going to start to see the fruit of all that labor. So know that the 90-day rule really does work. But also for me, in this season in my life, I've got 2 littles and 2 little kids. They go to preschool on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So what works best for me now is setting business hour, like intense Plexus work getting done on Tuesdays and Thursdays while my kids are at school. Plexus has kind of caused me to have ADD, like not bad, like ADD, but like, oh, I have a message. Oh, I have an email. Oh, I have another message. Scroll. So when I really, really learned to utilize power hours, I'm talking y'all, like you make your to-do list before your power hour. Because I was doing power hours, and then I was just spending the whole hour making to-do lists. But I have my to-do list. I cannot go to the second thing on my list until the first thing is done. I'm really big on efficiency. Y'all, time is precious. And so get efficient with your business. And so like for me, on Tuesdays, I may reach out to 20 people on Tuesdays instead of doing like 2 or 3 a day. I will do a big chunk on one day while I'm in the mood and in the mindset of doing that. But also at this stage in my life, I do a lot of leadership development. So I'm doing loving on my leaders, doing coaching calls with them, with my strong level 2s. Usually always have a 21 irrefutable laws of leadership group going with a small group. I just do a lot of behind the scenes leadership stuff right now. But when I was on my way to Emerald, it was all day, every day. This is for real. Let's not watch TV. Let's get to posting. Let's get into read every single book we can get our hands on, and become a student. I had to become a student. I really want to encourage you guys to be a student of this profession and a student of yourself, because everything about this is relationships. It's learning how to be. It's working with people. It's learning how to relate to people, learning how to connect with people, learning how to lead people, and we will do that better the more self-aware we are about ourselves, and we'll be more confident the more that we are aware of those things. I'm going to tell my 5 favorite books, my 5 biggest books.
Please, I would love it.
I'm super big. I want my team, encourage my team to read all the time. I'm always sharing quotes from books I'm reading, because again, more is caught rather than taught. They'll see that I'm actually reading. But I start everybody out on the book Millionaire by Halftime, because I really do think they need to learn basic skills of network marketing. They have to, y'all, people that do this and don't learn, don't study and learn, you got to. You go to college for 4 years, y'all. 4 years you go to college. You take tests and you have internships and lectures and hands-on for 4 years. We don't have to do that for 4 years, but we've got to be a student. We've got to be learning. Okay, so Millionaire by Halftime. What to say when you talk to yourself. Whoo! That was one of the biggest things our team did during the hard season, is we did that book together. All my leaders were on board. We did that together. The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John Maxwell. Just can't, so much personal growth, good stuff. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Y'all, we've got to be people of influence. We've got to be good friends. We've got to learn how to relate to people. And then the 4 Color Personalities of MLM. There's a ton more, but I really try. Those are my top 5 of what I recommend my team to start with.
Love that. Oh, so much good stuff. This is a random question. I did not do this ahead of time. So you have a husband who really, truly partners with you, Rob. And for some of you guys who you might not, maybe you're too new, but Jessica's husband, Rob, also helps run the Men of Plexus group, and he's done a lot of public speaking for them at convention and elsewhere, other meetings. Tell us what that is like for you guys to partner together in Plexus.
Okay. Well, at the beginning, it was really hard because he thought I was crazy. And so if you have a crazy or a spouse who thinks you're crazy, I can definitely relate. He was not on board. And we actually had to have a conversation because I really believed, after my first week or two, so I was really believing this was going to be it. I was at least going to be an emerald. And so I had to have a conversation with him, and this may work for you. I had to be like, okay, honey, like, how much money do I need to make in order for you to take me serious? Like, I really think this is a serious thing. And he was like, $500. And so I was like, okay, game on. And I made $500 my first month because that was like lit my fire. That was my why. I needed to show my husband that this was legitimate. And so I went all in so I could prove him wrong. So it probably actually helped me in the beginning to work the business pretty hard. But after that, he's very much a businessman. He's an entrepreneur, so he has the business mind. He's always thinking of ways, businesses to start. The thing was, we had a couple businesses before, and that got us in a lot of debt. So this one, I was like, babe, it's $35. But no, after he saw the vision, and he's so my opposite. I am an introvert. He is an extrovert. I am red. He is yellow, blue. Okay. Like, he loves people. He loves to help people. And so it's been hard at times, but we're a good balance of each other because he really he just loves people really, really well. And so he's taught me to, love people, as obvious as that seems sometimes. That was used to be hard for me. No, it's fun. And then, he got to retire from his job, like when I went Emerald, or the month that I went Emerald before that, because I had passed up his income. And so he was like, well, this is dumb. I hate my job. So he got to come home, and he actually he counseled part-time for a little bit. And then he was home with us full-time for probably a year and a half. Like, we just upped and moved. We moved to where all of his family lives, because where we were living, we didn't have any family. And so with little kids, we're like, well, why not? We can. And so we did. And then he just recently bought a business, not because we needed the money. He just, he has a heart to help people. And so he wanted to own a business where he could provide a job for his brother, his sister, and his nephew. And so he bought a business. They all have good paying, jobs, and he gets to get out of the house a couple days a week and go and talk to people. And so it's really, really, really neat that if you guys aren't like dreaming big for yourself, dream big for somebody else, because what you can give with this ridiculous amount of income, go look at the average income disclosure. It's insane. Like, I'm not lying when I say we make more than brain surgeons. We make more than the president of the United States as diamond ambassadors. It's ridiculous. So think of what you want to do and give to that, because that's our favorite, is giving a lot of it away.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I could keep picking your brains. I also have two little kids and a husband. I just want to thank you so much. You know what I love too? I love your spirit. I love the fact that you're red, but oh my gosh, you look blue sometimes.
I like to think I'm pretty well-rounded. I'm a lot different than I was. My first year of my business, I was red. But I turned people off. And so the more well-rounded and self-aware you can be, it became very clear that I was pushing away my yellow friends, because I expected everybody to run their business like me, to do their business like me, to be a leader like me. And that is not the case.
Oh my gosh.
It is so not the case. And the sooner I realized that, I was realizing, okay, then that's when I got into the book, strength Strength Finder 2.0. And I wanted to help my leaders of all different colors find what they were good at, because they were feeling inadequate because they weren't like me. And I would never want anybody to feel like that. And so no matter what color you are, find what you are good at and how you can operate and lead in your strength. So we're really big. And I love to coach like strong reds, because I can see they're turning people off. And so now I can talk to them about, these are the mistakes that I made, and this is probably some better ways that you can communicate to your team without scaring them off.
Okay, I have just one last little question that is, and I'm curious your opinion. White lines.
Oh, what?
Do you chase white lines? Do you leave them alone? What do you do with people who've gone inactive who were once active?
At this stage in my business, I do not chase them. When I was going for my next rank, I probably would look at that differently. But I've also learned in the long run, it is easier to get fresh, new people than it is to raise people from the dead. It just is. And so go out there and find some new people. Y'all, we went to California on a trip last week, and my girls were talking to strangers left and right. Like, we just forget that we're getting our little circle, or we're getting our little Facebook group, and we'll think, Plexus is tapped out. Oh my word. Go to Kroger and go to the yogurt section and talk to somebody who's picking out their probiotic yogurt. And you're gonna find somebody who has zero mutual friends as you do. Zero. And they're going to have 1,000 Facebook friends, and you know none of them. And you're going to realize that Plexus is nowhere near being saturated. You just have to talk to people. People are sick. They're sick, and they're hurting, and they're actually searching for an answer. Like, these people in California were like, oh my goodness, I have diverticulitis. I've been suffering. I've been needing something like this. Really, this will help me? Like, all these people. You just got to talk to okay, but I'm scared to talk to strangers still. But I do it because I'm an introvert. But here's the deal. Y'all, stop using excuses. Like, yes, I'm an introvert. I could sit here and say, I'm an introvert. I'm never going to talk to a stranger. And I'd never be a diamond if I said that. So you got to do the scary things.
Amen, girl. Hey, I just want to pray for you really quick before we let you go and end this call, if you're cool with that, and pray for our team really quick. So if y'all will just bear with me for just a minute. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for Jessica, and I am asking that you would please just fill her heart with peace and joy and excitement for this spring and this summer. Thank you so much for providing a way out of debt for her and Rob and for their kids, and even making a way for things like she said, dreaming big for others, dreaming big for Rob's family, for all the people on her team. And I pray for our team as they listen that they would absorb this and just know that belief comes from really trusting and obeying on a daily basis. Thank you for the chance to do that. And for using Plexus as a tool for our lives, Lord. Thank you so much. Just pray for peaceful rest for everyone tonight and excitement for tomorrow and the rest of their future. In your son's name we pray. Amen. Girl, thank you so much for jumping on with us.
Such an honor. Y'all have such a great leader in Becky. Like, seriously.
Thank you. Rachel Neagle's on too. She has had to, her face is not showing, but she is here. She's been texting our team on the chat. So we so appreciate you. I just hope that you have a great night. Thanks for making time for us. And guys, thanks for jumping on the call. I will post the recording on our team page later. Thanks, Jess. Talk to you later.
You're welcome.